A simply amazing, legendary arena deck. Hey gamers, GamingWithMelkor here, bringing you another Clash Royale Deck Spotlight video. This deck, guys, is working amazing in Legendary Arena, where we are currently set on 3,925 cups. So what we're going to do, guys, I'm going to quickly show you the deck, then we're going to have a look at a replay, and then we're going to talk through a couple of tips and tricks on how best to utilise this deck after the first replay before showing you two more. So guys, let's have a look at that deck. Just donate that fireball soon as though we have one spare. So guys, this is the deck, nothing like any other deck I have ever used up to this point. The deck involves the Mega Minion, the Skeleton Army, which you probably haven't even seen me use in a deck, the Bowler, again not a card I've actually used in any competitive decks up to this point. We have the Furnace. Now I do use the Furnace in so many of my decks lately. I'm absolutely loving the Furnace still. We have the Graveyard. Again, a card you haven't seen me utilise all that often. We have the Fireball. We have the lovely Archers themselves. And we have the Giant. A card that I haven't utilised in some time, but a card I absolutely love. So let's just click open this chest and see what we get. We've got 78 gold, we have a Barbarian Hut, and we've got those 11 archers, so we can upgrade them to level 11 when we have that additional gold. So as you can see, guys, this deck has been performing exceptionally well with a 1-0 victory, a 3-0 victory, another 3-0 victory. Now with both of those, our opponents gave up very, very quickly when they lost those first towers, so we might not actually show those replays, but as the opponents lost those towers, they decided that they wasn't willing to continue because the deck was just too overpowered for them. We did have a defeat there, but that was due to me trying to get used to how the deck actually played. That was my own fault. We had a 2-1 victory, a 2-1 victory, and our first ever game with this deck was a 3-1 victory. So we're going to actually show you this first 3-1 victory. Then after that, we're just going to talk through a few tips and tricks on how best to utilise this deck. So as you can see, our opponents there had the Minion Horde. They had my favourite cards currently, the overpowered Elite Barbarians at level 11. And he had the level 5 Golem as well. So guys, let's watch it and see how we did in our very first battle with this deck. Now as you can see, we probably haven't got the best start in hand here, but we do have the Furnace. Now I like to get the Furnace down quite early on, so it gives us a bit of DPS as we are pushing our attacks. So we're going to get the Furnace down as our opponent pops down the Golem. Now unfortunately, the Furnace is on the same side as the Golem. But because of that, we are going to start our push potentially down the opposite side of this field. So as you can see, we are going to drop our Giant on the opposite side, and now we have the Elixir, so we are going down with the Horde there. So as you can see, we are going to go straight for that tower, hopefully going to give us a 1-0 lead. As you can see, that Horde is doing fantastic, but we are playing defense here as well. So guys, look at that. Just started and we are 1-0 up at this point. This was the very first time I'm playing this deck, so I was very happy at this point. Unfortunately, as you can see, our opponent is going to start doing some damage to our tower here, but we are hopefully going to mitigate most of that. Now, as you can see, that Mega Minion is Mega Minion here. So at this point, guys, we are about levels for devils on the Elixir run, but we do have that one tower down. A very good start with this deck. As you see, guys, that Giant and Graveyard combination is simply fantastic. So our opponent then decides to drop, oh no, he drops down, you guessed it, the Elite Barbarians. So goes down the Furnace there as a pure distraction, and our Golem is then there as well on defense. Unfortunately, that Musketeer is going to do some serious damage to our tower, taking it down to just over 1400. But at this point, guys, I'm still feeling rather confident, and the deck is looking good so far. Unfortunately, we have lost that Furnace at this point, so we're going to wait, see what our opponent does. We're going to drop our Giant down in the middle, and then, you guessed it, we are going with that Graveyard spell as well. Now, as you can see, our opponent did drop that card there at the back. A very poor move by him, because it allowed us to nearly and just about take out that tower, giving us a 2-0 lead. So I drop, there we go, I dropped that Skeleton Army on that Golem, but unfortunately a very well placed log spell there was able to take it out. Now the archers are here to try and help, and unfortunately our opponent is going to push the opposite side of the field as well with those elite barbarians. So at this point, guys, we're not in the strongest of positions defensively because we're about to potentially lose both towers. Now, we know that doesn't happen, but we do get close. Now, as you can see, our opponent does drop that musketeer, but our opponent thinks that we're going to try and play defense. I'm not going to. I'm going offense. So as you can see, goes down the giant, goes down the graveyard spell, and the skeleton army all at the same time here. As you can see, guys, we are going to lose a lot of damage on our troops here, but as you can see, we are just going to plow through that crown tower for a solid 3-1 victory. And that's how good this deck potentially is. So guys, let's talk through tips and tricks on how best to utilize this deck. So before we go any further, guys, can you all do me a big favour and smash that like button? Let's see if we can get to 30 likes on this video. And if you've got this far, you've not already clicked that subscribe button. For more amazing decks, click that subscribe button as well. So guys, this deck is fantastic. Now, I always try to start off with a furnace. Now, if the level of the furnace is high enough, you will automatically start dealing damage to those towers, which is fantastic further on in the game. The giant is your buffer. You want to combine the giant with that graveyard. When you know your opponent's low on elixir, get that giant up front and get that graveyard on that tower. In combination, they will absolutely destroy a tower in seconds. Excuse me there. The Mega Minion is fantastic on defense and then can support both the giant and the bowler on offense. That skeleton army is fantastic at taking out those elite barbarians, which are prominent in nearly every deck at this moment in time. Same with the bowler. Get it on the field, it can soak up that damage, and it can also deal it and slow your opponents down, especially those pesky elite barbarians. The archers are there as backup on both offense and defense. On defense, you want to get them behind your tower to start to pick off those troops, and on offense, get them behind either the giant or the bowler just to help to protect them. The fireball's there for taking out those troops that you can't obviously get to, those minion hordes that you need to take out quickly, or if you need to do that additional damage to one of those towers. It works absolutely fantastic. Again, can be utilised on both offense and defense as required. Like I say, guys, the synergy in this deck is absolutely amazing. The cards work so well together, especially that giant. Especially if you combine it with the graveyard and the skeleton army. And having that big powerhouse of the bowler up front as well, getting the giant, the bowler and the skeleton army or the graveyard on that deck is simply devastating. So guys, let's have a look at a couple more replays here. Now, we do have a very interesting 1-0 victory here against an opponent that was packing a level 4 Expo. Quite a strange choice, but nonetheless it was entertaining. So as always, guys, now we do have that furnace, so we're going to drop that just before our elixir hits that 10 mark. And as you can see, our opponent drops down his archers because he's not sure what we're going to do here. So down goes our furnace. Now, unfortunately, those archers are going to make quick work of those, but we're not too worried at this point. So we're going to strop the bowler here at the back to take out those archers. And as you can see, our opponent then drops the Expo in a rather defensive position. But unfortunately, because of that, it is going to take out that furnace before moving on to the bowler. As you can see, our opponent then drops down that Mega Minion. So I drop my archers there to take out that Mega Minion so it never gets to our tower. And as you can see, our opponent then decides to rocket down both our archers and start to do some damage on our tower. The Mega Minion is going at the back because I don't want to waste elixir before I get that giant out. So the giant's going to go in front, followed by, you guessed it, the graveyard. Now, our opponent doesn't have a massive amount of elixir here, but he does have enough. But as you can see, our skeletons are going to start to take out a bit of damage on that tower. So as you can see, Mega Minion, skeletons, etc. are taking out that tower, get it down to just under 1000 HP at this point. A very good start. Now, that furnace is going to whittle down that Mega Minion, allowing the tower to take it down before ever dealing any damage to our tower. So we've got the bowler on standby, ready to go down, because we don't like wasting that elixir. Our opponent obviously does drop that card down there, just to try and not waste elixir, basically. Now he then obviously puts that Tesla down there as well, but we're going to back up our bowler with these archers in the back. We're dropping the giant in front to soak up any damage, and we're going to allow the bowler to take out that golem. Ice golem. Now as you can see, we are now going to try and take this tower, so down goes that graveyard spell, but as you can see, our opponent is playing heavy on defense here. I utilised that fireball to try and do a bit of damage, but unfortunately we only managed to get that tower down to 5, 7, 6 at this point. But as you can see, our opponent is playing now aggressive with his X-Bow. Now we do manage to get that bowler down just in time, and we're going to back that up with the archers. Unfortunately we didn't utilise those cards very well there, but we are going to get the giant down just in time here. Now we are going to obviously drop down that graveyard here yet again, hopefully getting through that last 576 HP on that tower. As you can see, we managed that quite easily with 15 seconds left on the clock. And now it's just a matter of playing defense until that Expo dies down. As you can see, that bowler, we're going to utilise this fireball here as well, just in case. Boom, there we go, no great concerns. Giving us a solid 1-0 victory, and at no point was this deck ever really in trouble of being overrun at that point. Sorry about that, guys, I do have a tickly throat, something I don't normally have when recording these videos, just one of those things. So as you can see, guys, that this deck is performing exceptionally well against nearly every deck it has faced so far. And as you can see, one of my previous decks there as well, my Elite Barbarian deck, which has gone 15 games undefeated just prior to this. So guys, that's the deck. It's the Mega Minion, the Skeleton Army, the Bowler, the Furnace, the Graveyard. Oh, such a good card in combination with that Giant. The Fireball, the Archers, and obviously the big man himself, the Giant. So guys, that's it from me. If you like what you see, comment below, let me know. If you've not subscribed, do me a big favour, guys, and smash that subscribe button. And I'll see you gamers next time. Take care.